I grew up in a religious household. I mean, our family was Catholic, Irish Catholic, and my mother especially was very devout. My father became really devout after his experience in World War II. And so we were a big part of Christian Catholic life growing up, went to Catholic schools. I've just had that whole experience. Way leads on to way. I grew up, went to college, a Catholic college, and after that just kind of drifted away from religion. And over the years that I have been a comedian and a speaker and a therapist, you can imagine how many people have told me their tales of woe about organized religion. And a lot of them, many of them, have turned away from organized religion with a ferocity. I mean, they can't stand it. They talk about its evils and all of the bad things about it. I totally get that. I don't argue with anybody about that. I know that it has been done badly, to say the least. But before we throw the baby out with the bathwater, I want to give a note of caution. I was still curious about all of the background that I had growing up Catholic. And that curiosity led me to do what I want to do. I went to graduate school about it, and I enrolled at Union Theological Seminary, which is part of Columbia University in New York City. I was a comic at night and taking classes, this long, elongated, intellectually stimulating master's degree at Union, the place where many luminaries of faith have taught and gone. And so it was a wonderful insight for me into understanding what was being done poorly in religious practice and what might be corrected. And here's a good example. I came away understanding that there's a lot of bad teaching in the Christian teaching arena by people who have, I guess, a passing grasp of the scriptures, the Hebrew Testament and the New Testament. But boy, sometimes the interpretation is just clumsy, ham-handed, and sometimes flat out wrong. I'll give you an example. This thing really woke me up. I was listening to the lectures on the Gospel of Matthew as we know it, and tells the story of Jesus. And at the very, very end, if you looked it up in a Bible or even online, you can see that the very last words in chapter 28, it's called the Great Commission. And it's Jesus who is now appearing again because he's risen from the dead. And the words go like this: "Go now and preach the gospel to all the world." Well, okay. What does that mean? If you're going to follow that command, what does that mean? I quit my job, I become going to the clergy, or I go full-time into this? Hold your horses. The fact of the matter is, the word that gets interpreted go, that command, is actually a gerund. Do you know what a gerund is? You're familiar with gerunds. You use them all the time. Gerunds are nouns that act like verbs, or verbs that act like nouns. And they always end in ing. So a better iteration of this scripture is not go therefore and preach the gospel. It's as you go, as you are going, preach the gospel. So as you're going along in your life, take in what you've learned and what you've come to believe about the gospel and spread it in ways that you can do organically as you go. Think about that. How many people growing up in Bible study or in Christian education have heard that little tidbit? I'm sure it's out there, but boy, that stopped me in my tracks. As you go. Hope it helps.